Welcome, everyone, to the Survivor podcast from the Credible Nerds. My name is Justin, and today I have a special guest with me, my co-host, Rachelle. How are you doing today?
So good. Excited to talk all about Survivor 50.
Yeah. So we are Survivor fans. I wouldn't say we're hardcore fans, but we've watched the seasons throughout the years and kind of got back into it the last couple of years or so. For you, Rachelle, when do you remember first watching and kind of getting involved with that?
I watched early days, so I didn't see the first season when it was out, but watched a lot of those early seasons, probably the first, every episode of the first 10 seasons, and then dropped off a little bit, not nearly as much, but have been watching a little bit, a lot lately.
Yeah. Yeah, we've been getting back into it. The last probably 4 or 5 seasons, 3 or 4 seasons. So, and definitely intrigued by season 50 with it being, the 50 year or the 50 season anniversary and bringing back everybody from season 1 all the way up to season 49. So a lot of hype about it. And obviously there's the let every fan decide or whatever the motto is there. So it's interesting how that goes. But we're here to talk Survivor season 50. And thank you for joining us here on this podcast episode. Hope to make this a regular thing moving forward, but we'll cover season 50 for sure. So make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment, let us know what you think of season 50, kind of what our takes are. Let us know what you think about that and what your takes are. So it's always good to have fan interaction. And if we like your comment, if we find it entertaining or even just interesting or whatever the case may be, we'll probably read it out on our next episode. So definitely, if you want to be part of the show and have your opinion on our show, let us know what it is, and we'll get to it. So, well, first off, we got this first episode, a lot of interesting things happened. We had a major injury that affected gameplay and, the rest of the cast moving forward, as well as an interesting first vote out. We'll talk more about that and get into it later. But a lot of these consequences, a lot of these decisions made by these teams and players are going to have consequences for the rest of the season, which, is how it should be. So some of these seasons, they start off and you kind of know how it's going to go for at least the first little bit. And I don't think we're going to have that with this season. So that's exciting. But like we mentioned earlier, there's 24 returning players from seasons 1 through 49. There'll be 3 different teams, 3 different tribes. And then there's the fan-voted twists. And as far as the first episode, obviously they always divide into teams and kind of pick the buffs and divide up and see who's who. And then they have their first challenge. So with this beginning challenge and kind of the dividing of the teams, who stood out to you in these first few minutes, I guess?
Definitely right away we saw a lot of Coach. Cirie, definitely saw a lot of Ozzy and Colby, and I think those were the straight out of the box favorites. And
they've been around for a while.
Yeah,
multiple episodes or multiple seasons, I guess.
Yeah, and I think people are looking to see what they're gonna do this season. How's it gonna work out for them? We also saw a bit of Mike White. That was super fun. Yeah. If we have any White Lotus fans, I'm a great fan. So very fun to see Mike. And, Survivor is kind of right in his wheelhouse, right? With all of the White Lotus Paradise adventures. So, so I bet he's having a great time kind of being in the thick of the drama that he's not writing himself.
Yeah. He did allude to that writing it and filming it is very exhausting for him. And he's like, well, if I can do Survivor, I can do that. So,
yeah. We saw a bit of the season 49 winner. What's her name? Savannah, yeah. So most of the other players don't really know who she is just yet, right? So she's kind of introducing her. So they have the advantage of having everybody know them, where she's coming in and they don't know her very well. And then, of course, Rizzo, also from season 49, is unknown. And they're kind of, and these are these, spry young guys that
new kids.
That only have a little bit of experience in comparison. And I think the older crew are kind of like, are these guys going to be annoying or are they going to be helpful,
Yeah. And they highlighted that with Colby. He's like, this Rizzo kid, man, he's driving me crazy. And then he kind of softened up to him. But that's a good point. They don't know Savannah. They don't know Rizzo. Savannah says she won, so there is some respect there. But at the same time, they're like, you just got here.
Guys? Yeah.
So I think that'll be a good, interesting
on the flip
dynamic.
side of that, they have the most recent experience, right? They've just come back from being on, so all of their experience is very fresh.
Yeah, and they're in that survivor mode.
Yeah,
they don't have to switch off and switch on.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think Savannah said it's been like 2 weeks since Survivor 49 ended and they started filming this. So they definitely have that advantage.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. Yeah, I liked right out of the gate they had that challenge with for the fire to get the Flint.
Yep.
So that was pretty competitive. At least the two teams were
pretty even. Yeah. Great race out to the water to get the torch, and then a wide variety of participants. It will be interesting to see what happens with fire this episode. Some fun things happened with fire.
Yeah, very competitive right out the gate, and that's what you like to see. Usually, sometimes in some seasons, there's like one team that just kills it right off the bat, and so it's not very dramatic. But this one was. So I liked it.
Yeah.
But for me, who stood out the most, they did that initial, hey, let's go get some supplies challenge, where with Coach and Q, and then what's his name? Colby. No, Ozzy, yeah. So those three went out separately and got their thing, and then there's some drama there between those guys. Coach and Ozzy have a history that I'm not too familiar with. But yeah, they were already talking like, this guy voted me out and I didn't win. I lost because of him. And just there's already some tension there. And then it played out in the challenge.
Yeah, it sure did. However, the rules were very clear.
Yeah.
You could steal the key.
Yeah.
And so just because Ozzy decides he wants to make everybody honor some sort of code, Coach was not up for it. He win at any cost, and he saw an opportunity to grab that key, and he sure did.
Mm-hmm. Which I don't have a problem with.
No,
I would have done the same thing.
No, because the rules were clear. Mm-hmm. Like if it hadn't been laid out from the beginning that you could, that would be a different story. But in this case, it seemed like Ozzy was trying to create some sort of honor code because he did go for it. That whole challenge, he was the one doing all of the work to try and get that key. And Coach kind of sat back and he watched him, right? Yeah. Because I think it was Coach's strategy the whole time to let Ozzy do all of the hard work and then just see where he could take an opportunity to steal it. Mm-hmm. And as far as strategy goes, maybe that wasn't the worst strategy, because by the time it was all said and done, Ozzy was exhausted.
Yeah.
I mean, it took them about 45 minutes, right? Because the wood that they had to strap together was just super weak intentionally. Mm-hmm. And so it was quite a challenging battle, and Coach took the chance. It was really interesting that later in the episode we saw how both of them framed it to their teams and to very different points of view and perspectives, and so how their teammates and their adversaries will look at that in the future, we'll see.
Yeah, and I think that's pretty smart to make yourself out to be as good as you can. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then. So then that was after the initial challenge, which is exhausting. And then they go to that island, and then they have to do some more stuff. And then they get to that point where it took 45 minutes. So it had been like 3 hours probably till they get to that point. So Yeah, Coach
Long
was
day.
smart. Even
Yeah.
Q was kind of like, yeah, I'll sit back.
They did both sit back and watch Ozzy do all the heavy lifting for sure.
Yeah, so it was pretty good on that part. Yeah. So I have no problem with that. But so yeah, they go back to their places, and it's interesting that the one team who lost, Kalo, the green team, they built their own fire.
Yes, this is very exciting.
Wait, was it Kalo? No, it was Cila. Sorry, Cila built their own fire with Christian.
Yes, with Christian's glasses. Yeah, Cila. Yeah, which was really, really fun. I don't know why more Survivor people haven't learned how to do that. Yeah. Just even if you don't wear glasses, bring a pair of glasses just so you can make fire. You know, fire's gonna be a rare resource, and you may not be able to win it, as was the case here. And Cila, took the bull by the horns and said, we're going to create our own fire. And they did it.
Yeah.
It didn't even take them that long.
Yeah. So they built the fire that they had lost the challenge. So they didn't get Flint, but they overcame that obstacle.
Yeah.
And then Ozzy's like pulling out roots, and they're baking like potatoes or whatever, that root, and they were eating it, which in the past seasons, if they don't get fire, they don't eat.
Yeah.
And they're all starving and weak and can't compete. But this tribe that lost is probably the strongest competitor as far as like being able to survive on their own and adjust.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yep. It was really great to see that. One of the things about Survivor that I don't love to watch is everybody suffering, Yeah. So it is really nice to see them figure it out and plan a way that they can be a bit more comfortable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there was that. Then they go back, and then there was another kind of, the boat comes later on for another challenge later on. Yeah. I think it was day 3 or 4, but where they have to pick one person from their team and go somewhere else and do like a puzzle challenge. It ends up being a puzzle challenge. But when the 3 of them get there, the caveat is only 2 of them can compete and one has to go home.
Yeah, and poor Mike White, he was super excited to participate, and, he'd made the whole boat ride there, thought he was going to be able to win something or participate in something, and then right off the bat he doesn't win the rock vote and has to go home. Little does he know that the challenge is not a great opportunity. One of them is going to keep their vote. It's not even that win another vote. They don't win an additional advantage. They just get to keep their vote, and the loser loses their vote. So Mike dodges a bullet, and he doesn't even know that he's dodged a bullet.
Yeah. But then we find out after the fact that there is a bonus. But for a while there, it's like, well, this kind of sucks.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, for both of them.
Yeah. But Savannah and Colby go at it with the Tetris challenge, and I liked her strategy. Build it wide, because if wider, a stronger base,
I mean, for her, it wasn't necessarily the stronger base she was after. She just didn't want it to get too tall where she couldn't even reach the top.
Yeah.
So in that sense, that she was looking at it from a strategic point of view, and Colby was just looking at it from he also saw her disadvantage with height, and what he didn't what he didn't plan on was that the height was also going to be a bit of a weight problem, and sadly, it didn't work out for him as he thought.
Yeah. So I like Savannah. She's very strategic. We saw that in season 49. She was a pretty good game player. So I'm looking forward to see how she does with these experienced players. And so far, she's doing pretty well.
Yeah. Yeah. And she does get a surprise. She takes away an advantage that nobody else knows about, which is
the steal a vote. Secret steal a vote.
Secret steal a vote.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. And then she also has some knowledge in the sense that what the idols and things are and the advantages are going to be, they're going to be the dynamic aspect of it. So
tell us a little bit more about what that means.
Well, there were 3 choices, strategic, dynamic, and then there was another one that was kind of like passive or something. But then they didn't know what type of idols and things they were going to be because of the fan vote. They were all on the island or in training or whatever they do before they saw the results. And so they didn't know even if there were going to be idols in the first place. But when Savannah gets this note, she does find out that, yeah, there's going to be these idols and advantages. And that the strategic piece is that they're going to be, steal a vote. Or like we saw later with the Billie Eilish idol, you give it to someone else, but then you get it back if something happens.
So in other words, dynamic meaning all the idols are going to have a different type of advantage or play in the game. And so they'll be varied.
Yeah, it's not just straightforward. This is this. That's it. Yeah, at least that's what I take away from it.
Yeah, I think you're right on the money. And so she knows there are going to be idols, and the rest of the players are back at their tribes trying to figure out. They don't know if they're going to be idols, but they're out searching. Yeah. And lo and behold, an idol is found, which is amazing.
Yeah. So Genevieve and her new friend, Stephanie. Yeah, Stephanie. They're out searching, and Genevieve finds one, and it's the Billie Eilish Boomerang Idol.
Which I think is the most terrible idol to probably get, because she's elated that she has now found an idol, only to read that she has to give it away to someone on a different team that may or may not use it. If they get voted out before they can use it, then it boomerangs back to her. But if they do use it, then it's useless to her. Yeah. The only advantage she has is that whoever she gives it to could be an ally and give her appreciation. But even that's a gamble, like they may or may not. So
yeah, I think it's a pretty, I don't want to say lame,
disappointing for her
idol. Yeah, because you finally find it and you can't even use it.
Yeah.
So, but then let's talk about that strategy there for a second. That you brought up is you give it to someone, either they become an ally or they use it and then it comes back to you. Or they don't use it, and it comes back to you. How likely is that to happen? And then they chose Ozzy because he didn't use it one season. And so it's like, well, I think he learned his lesson last time. He's going to use it.
I mean, we have seen several people over the years have an idol in their pocket and not use it. And I think at this point, if you fall into that trap again, maybe you haven't learned as much as you thought you had learned while you're on the island. Too much confidence is really a potential detriment to the game. And so I think it's unlikely that Ozzy would keep it in his pocket, but you never know how these things play out. Mm-hmm. We'll have to see.
Yeah. Who would you have given it to, or like of the people they were naming at least, who would you have picked?
I don't know much about her allies, and maybe she does or doesn't have any, but if she did have an ally, like a friend that she had played before, she knows well, that's who I would have given it to. Yeah. But it's tough. It's a gamble no matter who you give it to. Right.
There's no sure pick, that's for sure. No. But Genevieve, there isn't anybody else on her season. She was on season 47, made the final 3, but there isn't anybody else on her season.
So, maybe it was us. I mean, this is maybe not day 1, but it's the very beginning of the game. Mm-hmm. And she hasn't made a lot of friends just yet. So, she doesn't have a great idea of who to pick. I mean, she knows all the players, but she wouldn't have a relationship with them. Yeah. And so, maybe this was as good of guess as any.
Yeah. Yeah, I would have picked Jonathan, the big muscle guy, because I think he's less, he says he's going to be more strategic in this season, because in one of his little interviews, he was talking about he was all muscle and just power through, but he's going to be different this time.
Okay. So, well, we'll see.
But yeah, he just doesn't have experience doing that as much, the strategic piece, so he may not have it down. But that's who I would pick. And if it ends up working out and you meet up later, he's a great ally to have. I mean, that's who I would pick.
Well, so then we get back to the challenge with Cirie.
Yeah, this is the biggest controversy for me personally. It doesn't mean it's for everybody, but this kind of drove me crazy, and it always drives me crazy every season. Give us a rundown there.
So pretty difficult challenges all throughout, but Cirie causes a bottleneck on her team where she cannot toss the key or ball into a latch. And try after try after try, she eventually learns how to do it and get it there. But by the time she does, she has given the other teams just such an advantage that her team cannot come back, and they lose.
Yeah.
So now they're going to tribal council, and of course this is your worst case scenario on the first setting up for the first tribal council. You do not want to be the cause of your team going to tribal council.
Yeah. So the dialogue after they go back to their camp until they go to tribal, the dialogue is, who do we vote out? Cirie, Ozzy, and then there's Jenna comes into the picture because she's aggressive in her scheming.
So she in my opinion came out just way too aggressive. She wanted to leverage the advantage that she had where Cirie did set herself up to be a target, having performed so poorly in the challenge. She saw an opportunity to have what she thought would be a lot of people on her side because Cirie did cause such a problem for the team and did send them to tribal council. So she just went guns blazing with everybody trying to advocate for voting Cirie off. What she didn't calculate was Cirie already has allies.
Yeah.
And this was, in my opinion, her biggest mistake. Having bet on everybody being upset with Cirie and Cirie not having existing allies that would back her up. And because she went guns blazing, she alienated a lot of the teammates. She went so hard advocating for Cirie that people were scared that once she's advocating for them, then, they could not have a chance. And I think that created panic with the other players. What do you think?
Yeah. Hey, I see what you're saying. And I can understand that and take that into account. However, Cirie losing the challenge for them, and everybody knows it, even she knows it. So it's not like a questionable thing. That's the weak part. And Joe said it in one of his interviews. If we don't lose challenges, we don't go home.
That's true.
They don't go to tribal. And so if that's the weak link, you got to get rid of the weak link. And that's how I would take it. Is keep an eye on Jenna because she's going hard, but everybody knows it by now. So it's like, we know this, so let's keep that in mind, and let's get this weak link out and be strong so we never have to do this again.
Here's the thing, though. A lot of aspects of a challenge are based upon skill and physical ability, and a lot of them are based upon skills that you would not be able to practice or be good at.
Yeah. Outside of Survivor.
Outside of Survivor.
Yeah.
So, this was a very specific skill that you had to toss it in just the right way, and really it could have happened to anybody. I mean, this is not her being lazy. This is not about her having poor physical ability. It was a very specific skill that you had to toss something in exactly the right way in order for it to hit just right to be able to pull the lever. So it could have happened to anybody. And I really just think that she was looking for any target besides herself. She saw Cirie as a good object and could get people on her side pretty easily. Yeah. But it backfired.
Yeah, I was surprised. A lot of it has to do with the edit.
Yep.
I mean, the whole time it was like, we're going to decide between... They even threw Ozzy in the mix for some reason. I was like, where's that coming from? Yeah, he's a strong player, but now's not the time. And so they totally set it up. It's going to be Cirie, perhaps Ozzy, maybe Jenna, but probably not.
Yeah.
And so in all the arguments they were saying, I'm like, that's me. That's what if I was in that position, that's what I would do. So when they unanimously voted
For Jenna.
I was like, what? What do you guys think? So my thought is, well, something else happened that they didn't present to the audience.
Yeah, that's classic editing. They want it to be a surprise. They want to catch you off guard. And so whatever dialogue was going on behind the scenes to target Jenna, we didn't see much of it. We did see a little bit where, like I said, there were some comments about people being scared that Jenna's just going in too hard and they could be a target. But we really didn't ever see. In fact, there were comments about, I just want some consensus, right? And so we didn't see the conversations where they reached that consensus.
Yeah,
so
it kind of stopped right there.
Classic editing. They wanted us to be surprised, and certainly we were.
I was, yeah. But not only was I surprised, I disagree. So I think that's my problem. My issue with it is because, okay, so Jenna's gone. She's not going to try and get you out next time. But Cirie, they've all said it. Cirie is the ultimate social game player. You got to watch out for her. You got to be careful. And I was like, yeah, we got to watch out for her. So she's a threat, not very much in the physical challenges, but everywhere else, yes. She is just as dangerous as Jonathan in the physical challenges. And no one... I don't know. They decided to go with the easy, low-hanging fruit with Jenna, in my opinion.
I mean, she's an all-time legend, but...
Yeah. You got to go for it. It's like if Boston Rob was there, you go for him right out of the gate because he's a threat.
But Boston Rob won twice, right?
He won at least once. I think he made the finals in another one.
And Cirie?
Cirie hasn't won.
This is my point. So she's been on a bunch of times, but she hasn't won yet. So is she really a threat? Mm-hmm. And she is very likable. People do really like her, and she works hard. And so, she hasn't won. I would see a bigger threat from someone who actually has figured out how to win.
Yeah. Yeah. Like Savannah.
Yeah, exactly like. So in one season, Savannah took it, right? Yeah. So that to me is a bigger threat than someone who has played 4 times and hasn't won yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think Savannah's going to make it to the end, unfortunately, because of that. We'll see. Every season is different, but
yeah.
But yeah, so that was the big thing there with the fan or the tribal council.
Yep.
Fan vote with the Billie Eilish Boomerang Idol. We're kind of down on that. I don't need to see why they got to call it the Billie Eilish thing.
Well, clearly, I mean, there's some branding there and some sponsorship. Who knows, But well, I think it's definitely a play to get some younger viewers, right?
Yeah, and I know Mr. Beast is going to make an appearance. It's kind of the same idea, I guess. So, yeah. But so we have this stuff going on at the challenge with Cirie, but also something else happens on the other side. Kyle, who won season 48, he hurts himself. He gets injured trying to run up the ramp.
Yes.
And Kyle's one of my favorites.
Yes, he's so likable. He's so cute.
Yeah.
And he was the last one that had to get up the wall for the tribal council challenge, and just went about it in the wrong way, hurt his foot.
Mm-hmm. And I'm surprised more people haven't hurt their Achilles on this wall, because it's the angle of it. You got to run up it or jump up it or something. Very dangerous. But yeah, he hurts his ankle, and I knew off the bat it was bad the way he was walking, and I was like, that looks like an Achilles, and if it's an Achilles, he's done. And that's what it ended up being. You
never want to see an injury on Survivor, but you definitely don't want to see it right at the beginning, so they don't have any chance of play. And so we get 2 players eliminated right off the bat, and it was a big disappointment. Kyle is a favorite of mine as well, and I I was sad to see him go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, he did finish the challenge. He did stick around for the night, and then they came back the next day and did further testing. And
well, the danger to his Achilles heel was just too great that finishing out the game would not have been worth a permanent injury.
Yeah, it's too early in the season.
Yeah.
And I did see his post on Instagram the next day. after I watched it, that he was like a montage of his rehab. It was like a Rocky IV montage. He's working out and doing PT, physical therapy, and all that stuff. And this took place over a period of months, and he's back. He's fine. So that was great.
Great to hear. Yeah. Unfortunate. I think every player going into the game knows that is a possibility.
Mm-hmm, for sure. So definitely disappointing there. He was one of my favorites. That team was stacked as far as I'm concerned. And so I was disappointed that weakened that team a little bit. So we'll see how that goes. That team has, that's Colby, Genevieve, Rizzo, Q, Stephanie, Aubrey, Angelina.
I feel like the teams are pretty evenly spread, right? I think there's some great dynamics on all three teams. I think it's a really great division. They planned that out really well, and it's exciting to see how the team cultures are going to develop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that Vatu and Cila with Joe. I like Joe. I think he's going to do well this time if he doesn't get targeted. And the rest of the team's pretty good too. So it is a good division of teams. But I was thinking Vatu had the advantage, at least in the beginning. But there was something interesting that Q brought up. Since Colby lost his vote for not winning that puzzle challenge, the Tetris challenge, he lost a vote because he didn't perform well on Exile Island. And so now they were down 2 votes already right out of the gate for their 5-person alliance. So that was going to be interesting. But Kyle was part of that alliance too. So now it's just down to 4. So what are they going to recruit someone else?
Yep.
Or are they just going to kind of go with the 4 they have? So that'll be interesting to see in the next couple episodes what happens there.
Yep.
So
really great first episode. Lots of exciting things happening. I can't wait for the next one.
Yeah. So we are going to be looking at doing this for the season moving forward for different episodes and talking about it and see how things play out. So definitely stay in tune with the future episodes. Watch this one. Like I said, comment on the video or send us a message on social media to Justin the Nerd or on Instagram. Let us know what you think. If you have any questions, comments, who's your vote? Who's your favorite team? Who's your favorite player? How do you think this is going to play out? And like I said, if we like it, we'll read it on air. Or maybe if it's controversial, we'll read it and discuss it amongst ourselves.
Sounds great.
So definitely check it out on social media. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. But first off, before we sign off, who are your top 3 out of this? I guess can't count Kyle or Jenna now, but who would you say your top 3 are of the remaining?
I think Colby is at the top of my list. I think Ozzy's got a big advantage. We'll see how his new strategy plays out. And I do think Savannah's one to watch as well.
Yeah. Do you have a dark horse fan favorite that probably won't make it, but you hope does?
Coach.
Okay.
Coach.
All right. Okay, who do you think is going to win out of those 3? Colby, is that who your pick is, or you just wait and see?
Let's wait and see, but I do really like Colby.
Yeah, he's good. I think he's got a good chance.
Yeah.
For my top 3, I'm going to go with Joe. Like I said, I was picking Kyle. He's gone. So Joe, Savannah, Joe and Dee. I think they're going to get back at it and see how that goes again. Because they weren't on the same season.
No, they weren't. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but Joe's
48 and Dee's 45.
I think Joe and Dee, and then Q. I think.
Okay.
Yeah. And my dark horse is Mike White.
Oh, okay.
I hope he does better this time. Makes it to the finals, closer to the finals, but I don't think he'll get there, but I hope he does. So
I don't know. He's been training pretty hard.
Yeah, he's got those abs.
Came back with the 6-pack, man.
Yeah, you got a lot of compliments on that.
Yeah.
Well, he does look good.
He looks great.
Yeah.
He's must have a great personal trainer.
Yeah. Well, I saw him first on The Amazing Race, him and his dad.
Okay.
They did a couple of seasons. That's when I first saw him, and he's always been a favorite of mine since then. He's funny.
Yeah.
He's a good guy.
He's good stuff. Yeah. All right.
But yeah, those are our picks. So stay tuned next week for our follow-up episode 2. And thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.
Bye, everyone.